New Day ends? I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen DAD. Welcome to the WWE Raw Review Podcast on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button. Give us a subscribe. Leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode and what you think's going to happen in this New Day saga, one of the best stories of the year in WWE. And send in your Shaq Gables. They got to win this week. To WrestleTalk.com/support or read out every single one over $5 before the end of the show. And the best way to support us here and the best way to have loads of fun is to go over to Patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where for the first time ever, well, actually, no, that's a lie because we did this with our WrestleTalk Extra series. But okay, for the second time ever, you can watch, as of right now, a whole complete Patreon exclusive video series.
That's right, yeah. Every single episode now of Monday Night War, The Last Chance, is now live over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk, so you can watch it from start through until its end.
You can binge.
You can binge watch it.
That's 12 episodes. Those episodes are like an hour and a bit long.
Plus, you need to stick around, not obviously to find out who wins, but the stinger that comes at the end.
Well, I'll probably say who it is after we've done our first topic. Yeah, that's patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Today's episode, we're starting off with the New Day saga.
Sure
are. I think every week for the last month, we have had about 2 minutes of old man confusion over whether or not they said the exact date of this episode.
Which they never did.
They never did. They gaslit us.
Until yesterday.
And it's going to be the 2nd of December.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be next Monday.
Which I'm so excited about.
And we've been saying, me and Luke all day, I'm more excited now for next week's episode of Raw than for Survivor Series War Games.
100%. Like, I'm excited for War Games, don't get me wrong, because I think that men's bloodline is going to be so great. If anyone saw my WrestleTalk breaking news video that I did on the Saturday, like I was at my kid's swimming lesson, and it's all I could really think about was this CM Punk thing. So I was like, I'm going to go home and I'm just going to make a video about this because I want to talk about it. I'm so excited for that match. And even with that, I'm more excited for Monday's Raw because I cannot wait. Like, this segment here, from like start to end, I thought was like far and away the best thing on this show. By a country mile was the best thing on this show.
So let's go through it. First, they run the video package with New Day clips. Big E's all over it. It's all 3 of them. And it's saying it's coming next week. It's 2nd of December. Cuts to the gorilla position where Xavier and Kofi are. And they're watching that. And, you know, for the first time in a while, they remember the good times.
And it's like, I love you, man. It's like, yeah, I love you too. And they did get on the same page.
And I care about them as characters so much. I convinced myself, oh, okay, well, that's good. They're going to have a good week this week.
Yeah, exactly.
To set us up for the stuff next week.
That I had the exact same thought. I was like, they're going to go in there, get their win over Alpha Academy, and that will like get everyone all hyped up for the match next, like for the big celebration next week. Like, what a foolish idiot I am. Because of course they went in the much more obvious and much better direction.
So they go down there. They have the match against Alpha Academy, which they set up last week because Woods was being his usual grumpy self.
I mean, let's not bury the lead here. High School Musical's Vanessa Hudgens was here.
Yes, she was there too. She did the Bianca Belair EST dance. And she wasn't involved in the match anyway. Just in case people are confused. And Woods and Kofi, they're on the same page. Alpha Academy come out, but then they just can't agree on who should start the match. Woods gets out of the ring, he's on the apron, tags himself in. And that little disagreement let Otis and Tozawa get on top of them. Otis hit the caterpillar. Tozawa hit the top rope senton. Boy, he gets some height on those things. And they win.
They pinned him in like under a minute.
American Alpha.
Genuinely a squash match.
Alpha Academy.
Yeah, a squash match.
Yeah.
This was incredible scenes.
Like, it's so humiliating for them as characters, New Day, particularly where Woods' perception of where they should be as an act. So they both just storm out, and it's one of those. Is it Lee Fitting, the producer guy who is the head of production on the credits for most of WWE shows now? One uninterrupted take, paired back. It follows them backstage. It follows them through the production area, and then they're in this behind the scenes place. And it's very, there's no commentary, there's no effects, there's no cutting, there's no interviewer.
Barely lighting.
It's a really pared back cinema verite style of presentation, which means Kofi and Woods, like, all the focus is on them as performers. And that's a lot of pressure, because if you don't put a good performance in, there's no smoke and mirrors to hide or accentuate bits that are missing.
Yeah. There's also no retakes available of this as well.
Yeah, to do that after a match. I know it was a short match, but still. And they put on just such a good acting performance. It's so believable, so emotional. The sort of back and pace structure of their argument with each other, which is all of these tensions from years and years and years coming out. It had the back and forth structure of the final sequence of a match. Yeah. You do a move, I do a move, you do a move, you counter it. It's brilliant.
So you compare this to both of the backstage women's segments you got, or even like the Judgment Day segment you got in this, where it is just,
hey, listen up, guys.
Yeah, exactly, right? Where it is just saying words. Like, he was like, we need to say these words to set up the next thing that we're going to be doing here on this show. This didn't feel like, this felt like actual people, like real human beings having an argument with one another. I thought Woods and Kofi were exceptional in this backstage segment. Like, I love Woods in this, but I thought Kofi was great, because like Kofi was kind of the one that was instigating a lot of he kind of dealt a lot of these early blows where, Woods' whole thing is just like, oh, you guys have never trusted me because I've never been a world champion. And you remember that was that moment where it's like, he had the sort of misunderstandings of what Kofi was trying to say, but he interpreted it as like, oh, because I've never been a world champion, I can't lead this. And one of the first things that Kofi says is, this is why me and E never let you run the plays, because you fumble all opportunities you're given. Like, I gave you my Intercontinental Championship shot, and you blew it. I've given you all of this, and I blew it. This is why me and E. And like, when he said, this is why, that is, so for the last 10 years, and actually for the last 6 months when you've been saying it, yeah, it's true. We never gave the opportunity because we did not trust you to do it.
And Kofi says the reason, it's because you're too reckless. That's why you fumble these things. And Woods, when he pointed this out, I was like, oh my God, this is such a well-argued position from both sides. If he wasn't reckless, Kofi, you would never have been put in that position to win the world championship. I was like, you need each other. And that's why it's so painful.
Exactly.
Like, all three of you complete each other as an act. And now you're fracturing off. You've got parts of you missing, and you're blaming each other for the missing parts.
And well, let's run through the segment and kind of like talk about why like some of the emotionality can come out of this. Because like, this is the reason why Ian, like, I never let you make the calls, and then Woods, you were only champion because of me and because of like my recklessness. And Kofi said, hey, I was already a Hall of Famer. It's
debatable.
Yeah, it's debatable. It's like, hey, I was already here.
I was already having endless matches with Dolph Ziggler in the mid-card.
Hey, I was a mid-carder in the mid-2000s. I'm probably going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame eventually.
I am so many 18-year-old kids' favorite wrestler of all time.
And no one who's nearly 40's favorite wrestler of all time. But yeah, he's like, I was already...
Jamaican accent before.
I was here when ECW was a thing. He said, like, I was already a Hall of Famer in this company. You asked me to be in this group, not the other way round.
And then he said, Woods will never be a world champion like him and E. And this is the harshest bit, I think, because Woods isn't good enough.
Yeah, you're not good enough. Which, again, is all of what Woods is... Yeah. Self-doubt and like all the stuff that Karrion Kross was feeding into him when this whole thing started earlier in this year was, they don't think you're good enough to be a world champion.
But Kofi follows that up with, and that's not my fault. Oh, it's really, really harsh stuff. And Xavier brought up that, hey, well, you pissed away your chance of Kofi Mania and everything in 6 seconds.
We handed this to you on a silver platter We handed you Kofi Mania, and you pissed it away in 6 seconds to Brock Lesnar.
And as we all know, because they've said Brock Lesnar's name, Brock Lesnar's coming back in the Royal Rumble.
I think at this point, I'm starting to think he is just coming back. Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like the way they're referencing his name is just he was such a big part of kayfabe storylines that you do have to reference him.
You don't have to say him by name, though. You can just say, and you lost it within 6 seconds, and people will know what you're talking about. But
the line is more impactful if you say Brock Lesnar.
I agree. I think it is more testing the waters to see what online reactions are. Permanently online Triple H can now look what people are saying about this, see what the feedback it is, maybe even feed it all into Chat GPT and find out how much percentage of this was in favor of a Brock Lesnar return. You know, has enough time passed, in air quotes?
And at the end, they just, like, Kofi was like, well, I'll see you at the thing.
I'll see you at the anniversary next week.
And Woods was like, yeah, I guess we will.
Incredible, unbelievably good segment. And a great little ending offline as well. Because that is the go-home angle This was a better go-home angle for anything that was on Survivor Series. And it's for Raw next week. I thought it was so great. I cannot wait for that segment. And it's going to have Big E there.
Yeah, what's Big E going to do?
Because he's not been part of this story. Not really. He's talked about and referenced, but they've been so restrained on bringing him into this, just mentioning him by name. Next week, at that 10-year anniversary, I would have thought, if I was a betting man, he is going to be at that anniversary. And he's like, that's the culmination of this. And I don't know which way it's going to go. Well, should we get into our
hello. Came through me there, our chat gables, to see what everyone has to say. WrestleTalk.com/support. Get your thoughts in there. We've had quite a few, actually.
You can tell this is a good angle because we have had a lot of thoughts in.
Kevin says, this New Day is my favourite tag team of all time. After listening to their podcast, being there for all their accomplishments, this segment was heartbreakingly great. They use real-life sentiments in their arguments against each other. Kofi said that he wouldn't be champion without Ian Woods, so Xavier Woods reminded him of that. Woods stated that Kofi already had a Hall of Fame career before joining them, so Kofi reminded him of that. The celebration next week is going to be must-see.
I think it absolutely is.
Matt Hennessy says, what I love about this New Day story is it can go in any direction and it works for me. It's the most I've cared about since Kofi Mania.
Completely agree.
I don't think we get a turn next week. I think it comes close to happening, but Big E returns and reminds them of their brotherhood. Brothers fight, but at the end of the day, stick together. And while Kofi and Woods don't forget what was said, they forgive, and you can tell the story of New Day trying to win tag gold again, or Big E and Kofi supporting Woods in winning a singles title.
That's an interesting one, is like them supporting Woods going for a singles title. I think it only works, though, if it's going for the WWE Championship. Like, if he just wins the IC belt, sure, great, because both of them have won it as well previously. But it's the ascension of he was never a world champion.
Yeah, and winning the tag belts, while I like, and I think that could be a really good storyline for them. Okay, we are on the same page. Let's win the tag belts, and they do. They've done that a lot.
Yeah, because when they pushed, they got behind Woods to win King of the Ring. Like, great. But it doesn't really mean much of anything. And I think that it would be the same thing with the IC belts.
Really don't know where they're going.
I don't either, but that's kind of what excites me a little bit.
Sorry, this is a pretty inappropriate username here. Sully loves Spurs.
Shall I call him?
While you're doing that, I'll read out the chat. What do you believe is Woods' ceiling as a singles heel? I'd love for them to commit and run with the fact he's not a world champion like Kofi and Big E. I believe if they get the follow-up right, he could be a world title contender. Sami for Rumble 2025. I think Sami... I feel like the main event scene of Mania is too crammed for Sami Zayn to also get a shot.
Sorry, I thought that was a bit distracting.
Is he ringing out?
Yeah, I think he's ringing out. I think he's not going to answer.
But yeah, Woods' ceiling as a singles heel, I think mid-card is his ceiling, which is fine.
Which is fine. Yeah. You need those people on your roster.
Kazoo. The New Day segment was uncomfortable in the best way possible, like being a kid watching your parents argue, and it kind of feels like a work shoot. The group has been stagnant since Big E's injury. I'm deeply invested in what happens next week.
Honestly, like to kind of back up what Matt said in his chat earlier, this is the most I've been into the New Day since Kofi Mania. And that was like 5 years ago.
There was a bit of Big E excitement when he first won the belt.
But that was more me into Big E than I am like New Day as an act. Like even when during Kofi Mania, it was New Day as a whole that I was really into.
Patrick Prum. Scrolling through TikTok, I stopped at every reaction video of that New Day argument. I don't know how they've done this, but in 2024, the Bloodline, Drew Punk, and this storyline has been absolutely incredible. This word is overused, but this is cinema.
I do think people need to watch more movies.
Yes, it's wrestling. It's what this is. This is wrestling.
Very good wrestling.
Yeah, really great wrestling.
Really, really great.
It's different. Yeah, cinema is different to what this is.
But if you put this, in a film, I think there would be people who'd be like, "There's not a lot of camera movements within this."
Well, and
at a base level,
the acting isn't of a level.
No,
it's great wrestling.
Great wrestling acting. That's it. Yeah, as a backstage wrestling segment, one of the best they've done all year. But if you put this up in a film, I think I would have some feedback.
I think what Patrick Prum is implying is this is cinema. It doesn't actually mean it's cinema. He means this is making me feel the sort of emotions that a really good film would, which I have not attributed to wrestling because I've been watching Vince McMahon wrestling for so long.
I think the term "this is cinema" should get in the bin.
Yes,
I'm wishing to cast that into the sea. I would put that in room 101 as one of my least favorite phrases in English language at the moment.
But thank you for your chat, Patrick. Rafael Garcia says, while I've loved this New Day story, including last night, this is all in caps, but I won't shout it. Stop trying to break up the good tag teams, Paul. Was Imperium not enough? Are you going to break up the Guns next? Also, that ref counted 3 before Finn broke the pin. Justice for War.
Oh, I missed that.
I didn't see that, no.
No. I'll be honest, I kind of sort of mentally checked out during that match.
I know what you mean. As soon as I realised, this isn't a title change. Why have we been building this for 6 weeks? But yeah, I do agree, obviously, that for tag teams to break up, they shouldn't all be breaking up at the same time to make it mean something.
And there's one here from Bill Z Bub as well, who said, possible hot take, I don't think Woods is turning next week. I think it will be Kofi. I think Woods will strike a nerve a little too much, and Kofi will be the one to turn and hit him first.
My God.
I think I had that on my 3 counts, Kofi strike. But that's only because I was trying to think of something new to say about this New Day angle.
We've gone back and forth over the year, whether they stay together, whether Woods attacks Big E, whether Big E's even cleared. Mm-hmm. I just want to find out now.
Me too, and I'm so stoked for this. You know, also as well, like how much I know that Woods and Kofi are into this story as well. Because I saw that someone in the chat there pointed it out, and I know I've had someone message me on social media about this as well. They were wearing Dragon Ball Z inspired gear that is foreshadowing based on the characters they were dressed up as to what could happen going into next week's angle.
I've not seen Avatar.
It's one of James Cameron's best.
Before we get into the full play-by-play review, Monday Night Raw, The Last Chance, is now available to binge. This feels so weird to say that you can binge it now. Once the preserve of Netflix and big corporations, it's now on WrestleTalk's Patreon. You can watch all 12 episodes of the Patreon-exclusive Monday Night Raw, The Last Chance, between Luke and Pete. We won't give away who won that series, so you can go and enjoy it by yourself. But now Pete's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You need a new challenger.
I sure do.
It's me.
That's right. Mustache Night War.
Yeah.
And it's called that because we had to film all of it in November.
Yes. In fact, we're filming the last day tomorrow.
We certainly are. And it's been I think it's been a very fun series thus far. I've very much enjoyed it. It's a very different vibe in terms of facing Pete against in the show. But in terms of like, because you and I have got a very different dynamic on screen to how me and Pete have a dynamic. but also you play very differently to how Pete plays.
Pete plays well, did you say?
Well, let's not downplay what you have done thus far. I text Pete, so this is not a spoiler or anything like this, but I text Pete very early on in our recording day on our first episode, because in the draft, in my first pick, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And it was, oh no, it's my second pick, I made a mistake. And it's really funny. So let's not, count our chickens before they've hatched here.
And also, I was surprised by how stressed I would get with the time limit, even though I practiced under a time limit for like a whole season.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. Actually, is you said to me you were doing all your practice sessions and stuff, and I said, "Have you done it with the time limit yet?" And you went, "No." Yeah. I was like, "Oh, buddy, I would do a season with the time limit."
But I was fine with the time limit at home. But something happens when you're on the sofa. And
the lights are on.
You just
Courtney's listening to you.
You really annoyed. You really annoyed me. Because Luke's there, like air guitaring on to whatever nonsense he's listening to. Would you say it's more what's the word? Combative than yours and Pete's?
I don't know, because I used to really irritate Pete with my air guitaring or my air drumming and stuff. I used to really quite annoy him, but I never got told off for doing it.
We've patched it up now. Okay. But yeah, I'm up and down. I'm up and down in that game. It's not the smooth experience I thought it would be.
It's been a lot,
but hopefully
of fun,
it's exciting to watch.
It's been so much fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far, and I'm really looking forward to our last shoot day tomorrow, because I've had such a good time.
We're taking a 1 week break, but that will return on the 9th of December, Monday the 9th of December.
Yeah.
It'll be the draft day episode live on PFK as usual, and then the weekly episodes, I think all the way through till early March.
That's correct, yeah.
Versus you. So yeah, patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Go over there now to catch up on the Monday Night War series so far. And you'll be in prime position to watch me versus Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This episode of Monday Night Raw wasn't pre-taped.
No. It certainly sounded like it, though. I feel like Joe Tessitore was like in the booth re-recording lines.
A couple of weeks ago, people were like, oh, they're making too many pre-tapes now. I was like, give the talent some time off. When I heard that they're taping SmackDown on Friday, and it's already filmed.
Yeah, it's already filmed.
I was annoyed.
Well, that is for the holidays, though. Because it's Thanksgiving the day before.
Yeah.
So it's to give the talent some time at home with their families.
But that makes it like the 4th taped episode in a month.
Well, this is what they have been. I don't want to say that Mark Shapiro of TKO hasn't been saying this for the last year, but they have been saying for the last year that they are going to scrutinize every dollar that is being spent on live productions and scale that back.
This was broadcast from Glendale, Canada, and it started with Gunther being interviewed by Jackie Redmond in the ring. I thought Jackie was a bit harsh.
What are you going to do, cry about it?
Yeah, so you're crap now? What happened, Gunther?
Could be good, could you? Yeah. Oh, you going to cry about it? You going to have a little cry about it, Gunther?
And Gunther's about to
cry.
Answer. And Damian Priest comes down, says all the things. You lost your aura. What have you got to say to me? And Gunther, rather than speak, gets the microphone, hits Priest in the head. Oh, this is the part of the feud where Gunther stands on top as the cliffhanger for the pay-per-view. No. Priest then put Gunther through an announce table and posed with the belt.
Yeah. I mean, it very much signifies that he's not winning this coming Saturday at Survivor Series, which we all sort of knew going into it anyway. But I think you made a really good point about this in the edited review, which is that you want to make sure that Damian Priest looks strong enough as a credible champion. But by doing so, I think they have done it at the expense of Gunther's coolness. Gunther doesn't feel like the Gunther that was IC champion for 666 days.
No.
He just feels like any other world champion in... Like, he may as well be Jack Swagger levels of, like, yeah, you're the world champion, but not really the world champion.
Yeah, I hope... Well, we think Gunther's going to retain at Survivor Series, and then I hope next Monday, boom, He's got the mojo back. He's back to being the ring general of old.
I don't think he is. Simply because I think we got our predictions video going out tomorrow. Simply because I think he's going to win via interference.
Yeah. After that, we go backstage. Bianca Belair and Naomi are talking about who can replace Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is out injured, so she's not going to be in the War Games match. Naomi's light-up jacket here was squeaking so much. We're not allowed to wear certain items of clothing or jewelry on shoots because it will interfere with the microphones. Mm-hmm. Didn't anyone say, just don't have the jacket on for this bit?
Didn't need it. My favourite part of this, my notes are, Naomi walks up to Belair to says, "Well," and then Belair says, "We will find out who attacked Jade." And I was like, that's so Naomi.
Yeah.
Because she looked at it, I was like, I'm going to find who it was that attacked Jade Cargill. I'm like, yeah, you're probably pointing at the person who did attack her. Unless, of course, it is Belair herself.
Well, Belair was in the match when it was happening.
Yeah,
so I think Swerve, Bianca, Naomi's the Rikishi to Bianca's Triple H.
She did it for the Bianca.
Yeah. No, I think but Bianca was the mastermind, sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
She's the Triple H.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if Naomi is the Rikishi, she did it for the Bianca. Because Rikishi...
No, she would have done it for someone else.
Oh, you're right, because Rikishi's whole thing was I did it for The Rock.
But Triple H told him to do it.
Yeah, he didn't
Not the best analogy, but they're talking. Io Sky enters, like, Io Sky's, hey, why don't we have Kairi Sane? Like, that's a great idea, actually. Naomi wants Bayley, but Bianca is skeptical about both of those because... damage control. She doesn't like
apart from Io Sky, which is fine.
Yeah. No, but they've earned respect with each other. You know, remember that whole storyline that I presume happened off screen?
Well, they did have that one match that one time.
Yeah. Then Rhea Ripley comes in and is like, all right, what's all the bloody fuss about? And Bianca says, why don't you decide if you're the leader?
Yeah, if you're a so-called leader.
Yeah. So Belair felt quite heelish here.
And then later on, cheats to win.
I really hope this whole Jade thing facilitates Bianca turning heel. It's crazy she's not been a heel on the main roster.
So if the reports are correct that Cargill's going to be out for a long time, because like the original report was she'll be out for 3 months.
Yeah.
But
3 months minimum, and no one knows what the injury is.
And then Nexus said that's best case scenario is that it's 3 months. It could be as upwards of 10. That means that the Mania match is off. And we've been building to this Cargill Belair Mania match. Belair will need a new direction for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So maybe a heel turn could be a good move for her.
After that, we had, in my opinion, the best match on the show.
Easily.
It was the Creeds versus LWO. This was after... did Ray beat Chad last week? Yeah, I think that's right. Mm-hmm. No, Dragon Lee beat Chad last week.
Yeah.
Chad definitely lost. We can be sure of that.
Of course he did.
And he sort of psyched up the Creeds after that match. Builds to this tag match here. And Julius is incredible.
He's awesome, isn't he?
So there's a bit when Brutus is upside down in a tree of woe in the corner. And Julius just hops up in one motion to the top rope. Hits a superplex on whoever it was beating up Brutus. And all the camera cuts to Brutus and he's like, yeah, upside down.
Yeah, like Brutus is great because he's very wacky and he's very, very funny and so charismatic. Julius is a freak of nature wrestler, though. He is one of those guys. When he was first coming up in NXT, there were reports of that backstage they're looking at him as the next WrestleMania main eventer that they have within NXT. And so it was like, yeah, I can sort of see it. Diamond Mine, yeah. And now like he's getting it. It's like, oh, now I see it. Like that is a guy that you could easily create as a top guy WWE champion level wrestler.
He just hopped up to the top rope at one point, hits a perfect 450.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm Mustafa Ali or Bianca Belair, actually, I'm like, dude, don't do that move.
Yes.
Like, I'm never going to look as good as you doing that move.
Sorry, Sullivan called back. 1 second.
What was the name of the...
I've got it here.
Hello.
Hello, Sullivan. Sorry, you're on the air, so don't swear.
Okay.
Not that you would. You're too polite. I just wanted to let you know we did get another Ultra Chat in referring to you.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So their username that they've created is Sully Loves Spurs.
Sully Loves Spurs. See, what you're dealing with there is a liar, a fraud, a fool, a thief, a vagabond, an idiot, a twerp, a twit, a nincompoop, a nitwit, a chuckling jokester, a larking moron, a big-headed fool, somebody who has the brains of a gnat.
Sullivan,
yes.
if I can, do you love Spurs?
See, here's the thing. I remember that there's actually a Chelsea chant about this, and it goes to the tune of "My Old Man Said Follow the Van." It says, "My old man said be a Tottenham fan," and I said, "F off, B word, you're a C."
My old man's.
That roughly says my feelings about being a Tottenham fan, because well, the thing is that it's funny, because Chelsea won 2 European Cups, so why would I follow a team who's won none? I haven't won a trophy really since 1991, because we're not counting the League Cup in 1999 or 2008. Tottenham fans, the League Cup is nothing. It's nothing. We've won so many we don't even care about them. It's like a trip to Disneyland. The League Cup doesn't really matter to us at the end of the day. It's fine. It's a nice little Mickey Mouse trophy. But the European Cup is the real thing that you really want to win, and Tottenham have won none of those.
Anyway, the chat actually wasn't about you. It's just the username was. Anyway, thanks, Sullivan.
Cheers, thanks.
Bye bye.
Right, love you. Bye.
My old man's a dustman. No, my old man's a Tottenham fan.
Yeah, no. Well, he said because it was it to the tune of "My Old Man's a Dustman."
I thought so.
Because I thought he said it was "My Old Man's," because he wears a dustman's hat.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyway, the Creeds, they're really good. There's one bit though where they're both going to do a dual superplex spot. Rey Mysterio hits a 619 in the corner, taking out both their legs.
So good.
Blew my mind. Like how Rey can keep doing these things.
Yeah.
Still being innovative after 25 years.
It's the funny thing about the LWO as a group, because they're putting him and Dragon Lee together and putting over Dragon Lee. He is the future of luchadors in WWE. But the problem is he keeps getting upstaged by Rey Mysterio in all of these matches, because like Dragon Lee's so great, but I'm always focused on Rey being like, have you seen how great Rey was in this match though?
It was Rey who led to the defeat though. Chad Gable got up on the ring apron when the referee was distracted, twisted the mask around so Rey couldn't see, and one of the Creeds got a roll-up, hooking the tights for extra heel points to win.
Shout out to Rey Mysterio, because to make sure that those at the top of the building could see what happened, did wild punch swinging to make people know that he can't see what he's doing.
And he couldn't just adjust the mask back.
Well, he was too busy swinging.
Oh, I can't see where my head is. Then American Made did a wonderfully over-the-top celebration.
Yeah.
Jumping on the table and everything.
So great.
We got a sort of recap package of Punk's return and 72 million views on social media. It's been a huge thing for them.
Yeah.
Really well done.
I wonder if we'll get to see that segment again.
Judgment Day are in their clubhouse. Finn Balor says that they're going to retain tonight in the tag title match. R-Truth shows up. He's hiding from Butch, and Finn tells him to, go away. And Truth says, well, you're not invited to Thanksgiving. Ha ha ha. It was funny.
Oh, okay. Did you say so?
And Finn says that them together, that's what's going to make them tag champions for 154 days and counting.
They're actually leaning into the fact that they've never defended the belt, so they've only defended them once within those 150 days. Because he is so because we keep successfully defending these world titles. He also was very pointed at saying, this group has no leaders, but we are at our best when we listen to Finn.
Yeah. They said they're one big, happy, successful family. Feels like an implosion is coming.
No, in the Judgment Day?
Well, you never know, because they tease so many implosions across the roster.
Yeah. Maybe they'll A-Town down under it and they'll just be together forever. They've been teasing that split since February.
Bron Breakker then took on Ludwig Kaiser. This was because Kaiser caused a DQ in Breaker's match against Sheamus the previous week. And they had a really solid, stiff match. The most noteworthy part being Bron gears up to do his sprint round the ring to spear Kaiser. And Kaiser moves out the way, and Bron Breakker, without slowing down one beat.
Nope, not at all. If anything, got faster.
Charges chest first into the corner of the announce desk.
It was one of the gnarliest bumps I've ever seen.
And I don't know how. How's that more impressive to me than Darby crashing a car into another car?
I'd actually say that Darby's thing was safer than what Bron did. It's like people talk about the really dangerous stunts that people do in AEW. I think this was way more dangerous than anything like that. Could have impaled himself. He ran at that thing so hard and fast. It was gnarly.
It's quite funny listening to Wrestling Observer today because they said there is an inbuilt thing in you that does make you slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just charges right into it.
It was so awesome.
And then he was fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying
because
he should have sold it, but he's awesome.
Because he's just weak. Like, he's a freak.
That's one of the great things about the big guy wrestlers like Brock is a phenomenally good seller and bumper when he wants to be. And it's just so exciting about Breakker as a wrestler that not only is he, I'd say he's got the promo stuff down. His move set is awesome and impressive, but the guy can bump.
Yeah.
So that lets Ludwig get on top a bit. They come back from the break and blah, 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 blah. Sheamus DQ.
I will say, I'm unfortunate for me. I could not get into this match because I was just waiting for the Sheamus DQ.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, a lot of apart from that table bump, I didn't really get into much else of this.
I did, but I definitely knew Sheamus was causing the DQ. He does, and then there's a pull-apart brawl.
Very good pull-apart brawl.
5 seconds. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's see what's happening when we come back from the ad break. They're still going at it. And I thought, that was quite well done.
Yeah, really good.
And Adam Pearce runs out and makes our 5th match for Survivor Series a triple threat for the IC title.
Very nice. That match is going to be rad.
Yeah, really excited for that. Sami Zayn, Jey, and Jimmy Uso are backstage.
Well, we got a recap of SmackDown. we saw the CM Punk angle earlier in the show, and we just saw it again in full.
They should do this, though. This is what AEW doesn't do. Replay and hammer stuff into the ground.
Yeah.
So everyone's both aware and it feels more important.
Your problem there is that you're assuming that something happens on Collision that requires them to do 2 recap packages in an episode of Dynamite.
Surely, there's a match.
Yeah. I mean, I bet you there was.
Oh, yeah. Probably a few. Sami, Jey, and Jimmy are being interviewed by Jackie Redmond, and Sami is skeptical about Punk. I don't know about this Punk guy. Should we trust him? And Jimmy Uso says, yes, we should. The wise man's brought him in.
Which suggests to you, right, that probably shouldn't.
Which means you can't trust Heyman.
Yeah. Changed his phone number.
Yeah, and then they said 2 things, that Jey and Jacob Fatu are having an advantage match on Friday.
Yeah, beware of spoilers, because obviously that was taped last Friday, so that result is out there.
And Punk and Roman will have some sort of face-to-face.
Yes, they said that they taped a lot of stuff like backstage that wasn't aired in front of live fans.
That's must-see programming. Both of those things, Jey versus Fatu and a Roman CM Punk face-to-face with Heyman.
Yeah, so, I mean, not to bury the lead, on tomorrow's Survivor Series predictions, Ollie and I go on a bit of a journey with some fantasy booking around this CM Punk Roman Reigns things and a lot of different plans that you could do or different ideas that you could do. And they're all really quite exciting to me.
Yeah. And they might have something even better or something worse. Judgment Day then finally defended their tag titles against the War Raiders.
Yeah.
So this is a match that had a War Raiders return at the first week of September, because that's the first show I started reviewing. Then a couple of squash matches. Then they entered the couple of triple threats to crown the 3-way number 1 contenders match. They won that.
Containers.
And this was the match that was all building to. This has had a minimum 2-month build.
Yeah. And I'd say that is generous. I would say that the War Raiders have won some matches, and then they did one angle to build up an actual match between Judgment Day and the War Raiders.
But the idea that a tag title shot was coming for a team,
true.
That this match had a whole tournament to crown the people who would face them.
Absolutely right.
I don't know, just the way Raw has booked things recently, they have booked main event. That would like feed into a main event of Raw. It's Strowman versus Reed. It's Jey versus Bron.
And I think that's probably why. I was struggling to think, why was I not checked in on this match? Because you're right, this has been built for a while. I'm super into the War Raiders. I'm not vibing with Judgment Day whatsoever. And this tag title run has been the dirt worst.
No cap.
But I was not... as soon as the match happened, I was like, I sort of mentally checked out. Quite easily I look at my phone a little bit. And I think it's because it wasn't the main event. So I knew, I was like, okay, so it'd be Dom shenanigans, and they retain.
Well, yeah, before this started, I thought this is the main event. There'll be a title change. And it's because Dom will somehow cost Finn Judgment Day friction. But what it was I thought the War Raiders were pretty over. I thought the crowd responded really well to them. But it was a 5-7 minute match that had the usual Judgment Day interference. Dom and Carlito up on the apron. Finn pushed off Ivar from the top rope. JD gets the pin.
Well, they put JD's foot on the ropes because they hit the Viking experience for the win. But no, they cheated behind the referee's back.
And that's it. So I'm like, oh, I spent 2 months on this.
Yeah, well, we said this, I think last week we might have said this, or whenever it was we talked about it. But if the War Raiders had won, I don't think there's another tag team they can go into a feud with, because there's no other tag teams that are really built up on Raw. But now that the War Raiders have lost, who were the only tag team they were building up, that means there's even less tag teams for Judgment Day to go into feuds with.
Yes. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next week. There must be.
No, we won't.
Well, maybe it's the New Day.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe that's it, is that you put the New Day back together, they get on the same page, and you build to them beating Judgment Day for the tag titles.
Maybe part of the whole 10-year celebration is you get a tag title shot. I mean, it's quite soon that
they just lost.
It.
It's lost in under a minute. They should be getting a tag title shot.
But they've been together 10 years.
When you put it that way.
Christmas present. Then we did get the Alpha Academy New Day segment, which was excellent.
Best thing on the show.
Miz gets backstage. He's in the locker room with the Final Testament, and he says, the Wyatts are here. And Karrion Kross says, but have they seen you? And Miz goes, they haven't. So they go out and they're going to go and get the Wyatts. Scarlett Bordeaux, I'll stay here. Thank you very much.
Miz is like, I think I should stay here too.
And Kross is like, nope. Very good stuff. And then ad break, they come back and they're walking along the corridor because they couldn't find the Wyatt Six. But oh no, it's just Butch. Is that Pete Dunne's role now?
He just walks
backstage. Just walk around backstage into other people's segments.
Of course it is. Looking for our truth. They were looking for the Wyatts. They were looking for our truth. They bumped into each other.
And then they go into the locker room. So I thought Scarlett's performance here was really good.
Great.
Because she had been beaten up. There was debris all over the floor. And Karrion Kross goes, oh my God, are you okay? But Scarlett's still in that fight mode. Starts punching for a bit until she calms down. And on the mirror in the background is scrawled, everyone has something to lose.
Did a very good setup for this, because when Scarlett left, she looked into the mirror and behind her was Nikki Cross in the doorway. I did have a slight worry they were going to do Ultimate Warrior in the mirror for a moment. They did it much more sensibly than that.
The camera guy was in there.
Well, he didn't want to do it. He wasn't going to stop it. He pegged it. He's terrified.
But yeah, I thought this is good stuff.
Should say that's British colloquialism for they ran away a lot. I just realized I can't just say they pegged it. It's got a slightly different meaning, I think, in 2024.
Peg it. So yeah, I think that's all the. Oh no, wait, yeah, they've got a new women's championship. So after that, earlier in the show, They do a little recap earlier tonight.
Yeah, they said earlier in the show, don't gaslight me. I've been watching this show.
When that happened, I was like, whoa, pause.
Yeah.
I was like, I ruined the rest of the show for me because I read the whole thing. I was like, have I missed a segment somewhere? No, this was earlier before the show started. Adam Pearce comes out, says, well, SmackDown have a US Women's Champion that's about to be crowned. So here's Raw's version, the Intercontinental Women's Championship.
Yeah. I don't know if we've got a roster deep enough for 2 singles championships.
And women's tag belts.
Yes, absolutely, and women's tag belts.
God, if I'm playing Monday Night Raw, my GM, and I've got that many championships to juggle, and I'm like, I can't do that. There's too many.
I mean, that could be in 2K25 when they do my GM mode.
Not in ECW. No women's champions in ECW.
Spoilers for who Ollie picks as his brand of choice. But yeah, there may be like the women's version of the singles titles as well as the tag titles.
I thought this was unfortunate because the women's championship, a mid-card championship, has been something people have asked for ages, and is a good idea if you've got a roster deep enough. But this felt like a throwaway thing, like an afterthought.
I think they'd have been better off having a women's mid-card title that was not called United States or Intercontinental and just had a different name. Kind of in the same way when NXT introduced their mid-card title, they called it the North American Championship. Granted, I know that for the women's one, they've just called it the Women's North American Championship. But give it a different name and then have that champion float across the brands in the same way the Women's Championship does.
Yeah. Well, I also just think save this announcement for another week where you can devote time to it.
Well, it depends on when the tournament starts, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because if the tournament starts like next week, then you do need to make the announcement here so that the tournament makes sense next week. Maybe
so many tournaments.
Maybe they shouldn't have had 2 recap packages of the CM Punk angle from SmackDown and could have had this segment on TV.
Whoa, there's a bloodline thing. The next segment was bloodline related. Solo Sikoa, he's sat at a table. He's flanked by his his new bloodline, complete with Bronson Reed, and he just sort of says the same stuff as earlier.
Yeah.
Look cool, though.
It does look cool. Also, the baddie women had it. I actually had nothing else to write about the segment, but I knew I had to write down that it happened so that I could remind myself. So I've just written here, heels chat.
Yeah.
And that was it. Actual waste of TV time.
That was to lead into the main event, which was Bianca Belair versus Nia Jax.
Brand
the winner.
Brand split, LOL.
2 SmackDown stars, of course. This was to decide who gets the advantage in the War Games match. So, of course, because it's WWE, and they just can't have 2 heel advantages on the same show, the good gals won.
Just have one War Games match. Like, you don't need to have...
This could be an elimination match.
This could... And you wouldn't have to do, then, the advantage match, where the baby faces have the advantage. Yeah. There are multiple ways to do all wrestling matches, but there is really only one way to do a War Games match, and that is that the heels have the advantage. Vince Russo, bless his heart, tried desperately for years and years and years to have the baby faces have the advantage. And it never worked. And Triple H, bless his cotton socks, every year is like, I can make it work. I can give them the advantage. And it will work. And it never does. It only ever works in War Games when their heels have the advantage. So, arguably, I know what you could say, well, then surely every War Games is predictable when you do the advantage match that the heels win. And yeah, it sort of does, but it's the only way the match works.
Watch any WWE tag match. They all follow the same hot tag template.
Yeah.
That's what the War Games thing is. And no one's going, oh man, this WWE tag match is a bit predictable. I think they're building to a hot tag. Different things can happen in the the match beyond part. Anyway, this match, it was decent. Bianca did a press slam on Nia off the ropes, second rope German on Nia. Nia pulls off the turnbuckle covering that, and she splashed, like Nia splashes Bianca. Nia splashes her into the exposed turnbuckle. And then outside, Nia gets a Samoan drop, drops Belair onto the desk, but it doesn't break. and then Nia's in the ring celebrating. Bayley comes in, sort of takes out Nia's legs, so she's meant to hit the top turnbuckle, but she was nowhere near it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I've been hit. Bianca gets in, gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. War Games advantage to the baby faces, and it was the setup that Bayley is trustworthy for Bianca, so she'll be Jade Cargill's replacement.
I don't think I'd have pinned my women's champion to do this.
I don't think I would have had the heel about to win clean and the babyface team cheat. I would have had Tiffany at least do some stuff.
I would say in the defense of that, it does back up a lot of what Bianca feels about Bayley, which is that she's a conniving, cheating heel. She can't be trusted. And in this match, Bayley was the conniving cheater, and Belair just took advantage of that. But it does back up what her feelings towards her are, and kind of confirms that. So I think there is some character work in there that you could argue for it. I wouldn't pin my women's champion in all of this.
So yeah, I thought it was a decent show. Decent go-home show for next week's Raw. Weirdly, no Seth at all.
No,
which was interesting. I think it's a good idea to keep him off.
I didn't realize it until the main event. I was like, "There's been no Seth on this show," and that's kind of the follow-up I was, excited about, particularly with the Punk reveal. But maybe you should save that until after Survivor Series.
Yeah. Let's get the fan vote up. I gave it 74%. I did enjoy the show quite a lot, actually. And we will go through our wonderful Pledgehammers on Patreon. All of these people are going to be getting the full Monday Night War Last Chance series.
They might have already watched it.
So thank you very much, the man with the scoops, Sean.
Hear me roar, sear it to lion.
The torrential tribute, Spencer Vaughan Hagen.
The Pharaoh, Stephen Mazzaferro.
The incredible Tarzo.
Keep rolling, rolling, rolling. Ha! The Rick Petch.
Tony Jabroni.
TrevDog 316.
Commentator of the century, Vince Phillips.
Where there's a Will Campbell.
He clashed at the castle, William Wallace.
Willie Big E Singleton.
And the genetic jackhammer, Chris Fielder.
Thank you all for your Hall of Fame inductions on the Tuesday, the 26th of November, 2024.
Right, that's last call for Chat Gables here. Kevin says, I like the involvement of Bayley in the War Games match. That can bring a bit more character development for Bianca and Bayley at least, because that women's War Games was a perfect example of, it's November, let's team up, I guess.
I did write in my notes when the babyfaces were arguing with each other. I was like, gotta have tension somewhere, I guess.
Will Campbell says, like Ollie said in his review, I'm looking forward to this next Monday more than War Games. And I'm really looking forward to the pay-per-view. New Day have been my favourite faction since I started watching wrestling in 2019. And I'm super invested in this as a result. Yeah, I bet. Some guy says, no hate to Bayley, but advertising a mystery partner and then going to Bayley is the least interesting option. They should have just had Bayley from the jump. Second ultra chat of the video. Do you think they could swerve us next week and have Kofi turn heel on Woods?
That's what that guy said earlier, and I don't know. I'd actually much rather them get on the same page. Quite like the idea of them going after the tag titles a little bit. But yeah, with the Bayley thing, I don't think they really advertised it as a mystery partner. They just said they need a fifth member. It's not like Randy Orton last year.
Akihiko, I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, they had to announce him ahead of time, didn't they? They were going to do him as the mystery partner, and then it's CM Punk. They're like, oh no, but it's not going to be. So yeah, it's Randy Orton.
But it was. Akihiko Sanada says, this Final Testament and Wyatt 6 feud have been one of my favourite things on Raw. I would love a traditional 4-on-4 elimination match as Survivor Series pitting Final Testament against the Wyatt 6. Too bad we already have our 5 matches.
Why do you think Triple H doesn't like this traditional 5-on-5 match? Do you think it's just he's got more affinity for 80s WCW like War Games?
Maybe. I think he does, but I think he has made the branding around War Games now.
I guess so.
Ket, the babyfaces having the advantage in War Games isn't a bad idea. It prevents every War Games match from being predictable and having the same match layout.
Yeah, but psychologically it doesn't work.
I prefer the same match layout that works rather than different match layouts where one doesn't work. Blake Whitehouse, the only time a face advantage works in War Games is when a big menacing heel gets to enter last. For example, if The Rock were in War Games this year, it would be weird for someone to enter after him. This is similar to the 2022 one where Roman entered last.
Yeah, but the baby faces then have the advantage throughout the match. So that means that the heels are always fighting from underneath. That's why psychologically it doesn't work.
Real Double J. To be honest, I'm just here for the slow burn booking of Luke getting his £10. Are we in the bottom of the third? Will there be a trial of Ollie Davis? Also here for the new segment Sullivan's Sidebars, where we check in on any football Chelsea adjacent thoughts. Yes. So we're really busy at the moment because we're filming all the Christmas content, and I was meant to get out £10 today, and I said to you, I've actually not got time to leave the office.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks running now. I'm going to start charging interest on this thing.
Rated X Superstar Balor says, Ollie, beard oil and a cedar comb. Your lady will thank you because the stash has to stay. Luke, your chin gives off trustworthy life advice vibes. You should also keep the stash. Genuine compliments. Anyway, so I think Bailey is turning heel.
No, my wife is very much looking forward to November being over.
Yeah.
So I can have my beard back.
Yeah. We should do a November rain video package for our moustaches.
That's a good idea.
But thank you very much for the compliments.
So lovely, thank you.
Rated X Superstar Balor. Jay plays guitar. Last week, I messaged Luke for men's mental health awareness. I've really been struggling lately. Today's my first day on antidepressants. I just want to send some love to you guys and to wrestling in general for all the days I've needed the help. Thanks.
No, thank you for getting in touch. Thank you so much for watching as well. I hope that they help you out. Really do.
Julio Mendoza has just chatted, just donated some money. Thank you very much. Demon Arc 117 says, I'll be honest, and I don't know what was the catalyst, but I find myself really tired of wrestling right now. So many of the big reveals over the last week, I just kind of sighed and shrugged. Apart from Julia Hart, House of Black, I just don't care. I think I'm due for a break from wrestling. Maybe I'll come back for the Rumble.
I'll be honest, Demon Arc, I don't think you're alone in that. Like the wrestling calendar year often follows this trajectory, which is you get highs in January through to the through Mania, then it dips off ever so slightly, might come back for SummerSlam depending on how good the SummerSlam build is, and then it just steadily drops off until January rolls around again. And we are just in that Q4 where there is less interest in wrestling. This is why the argument for an off season has always been there.
I would say, Demon Arc, don't come back for the Rumble, come back for the January 6th Raw on Netflix. Space Viking, finally today, I think Bailey did it. She feels left out. Now she has a way back in with the rest. Also, she took out Cargill.
Yeah.
Even Io and Bianca have respect for each other. It's... They do because they have to for the storyline. It's straight hate on Bailey's part. All she has is Naomi, and Naomi has everyone else too.
I think you can do Bailey as the red herring. And so everyone thinks that it's Bailey that did it. Particularly when I say everyone, Bianca is driving the home. It was Bailey. It makes so much sense that it was Bailey. But I think Bailey should be the red herring.
Yeah.
She's only been babyface for less than a year. I think it's too early to be turning her back into a heel.
Let's do the poll this time before we get out of here. Remember, patreon.com/WrestleTalk. You can watch all the Monday Night Raw episodes of the most recent series. And is TNA going live tomorrow?
It is, yes.
Yeah, so we've got the WrestleTalk Extra next episode going live tomorrow.
It's going live tomorrow. It is our review of TNA Hardcore Justice. No, just Hard Justice. Hardcore Justice was a different show that they did. That was their ECW reunion show. Hard Justice 2007. Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe 4. All of the titles in TNA are on the line. It's not the only thing that's on this show. It's also the TNA debut of Pac-Man Jones and the TNA debut of Black Reign.
Yeah.
It's the Doomsday Chamber of Blood. And it is the first show we've done where we've kind of looked at each other and went, what happened? What happened to TNA? It feels like all of the wheels have fallen off in sort of a 6-month gap between Final Resolution and this show. It's such a weird show.
So that's patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Sign up over there. The Raw ratings are 70% thumbs up, 24% mid.
Yeah.
Good show.
It's actually higher thumbs up than I thought we were going to get, to be honest.
I thought it was a good show. Well, anyway, thanks very much for joining us. Go over to the WrestleTalk main channel now to watch today's news and Luke's great Who Really Killed TNA documentary from the weekend. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. That's been Luke Owen, DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.